Hey, what's going on, sports fans? I hope you guys are doing well. This is EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Huston, your host tonight, and we have a great episode for you tonight. But before we start, as always, we have to introduce to you our amazing panel who's joining me tonight. First, from Washington, D.C., he just made it just in time for our show tonight. From Chicago, we have Ken Cruz.
Thank you, sir. I'm exhausted, but, always hyped for sports. So glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love it. And next, from Alexandria, Virginia, we have EJ Gonzalez.
What up, Mike? What's up, everyone? Mike, I'm digging that blue camo shirt, man. Looking sharp, bro.
Oh, is that out of new golf or what? What is that?
It's a little golf, I just got to look as sharp as you guys. So I got to, you guys always help me raise my game to the next level. So I appreciate that. And last but not least, we have from the Philippines, our one and only Ben Bernaldez.
Thank you, Mike. And what's up, everyone? And welcome to the show. And after my bye-week rest and getting into the action with sports today, it's going to be an exciting episode today.
I love it, Ben. I love the John Wick look. It looks really good on you. Anyways, hey, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. And a kind reminder to all of our viewers, we are just a group of friends talking about sports, and by no means are we sports experts. But before we get into our main topics tonight, we do have some sports updates to share with you from all around the globe. First and foremost, our fellow EBC correspondent, Jana Pelasigi, recently covered an NBA matchup between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Chicago Bulls last week. Take it away, Jana.
It's the return of Alex Caruso as the former Laker faces his old team for the first time in the regular season. The Bulls have had a hot start in their first 13 games, in part due to the additions of Caruso, Lonzo Ball, and DeMar DeRozan. Both the Los Angeles Lakers and the Chicago Bulls are fresh off a win from the previous night, with just a little over 24 hours of rest to prepare for this matchup. DeMar DeRozan scored a season-high of 38 points and his sixth 30-plus point performance of the season. Lonzo Ball also scored his season-high of 27 points, while fellow UCLA Bruin Zach LaVine added 26 points to the Bulls' scoreboard as they defeated the Lakers 121-103, sweeping both LA teams on the road. The Bulls proved to have more energy, with DeRozan and LaVine combining for 7 three-pointers, led the Lakers 57-48 by the end of the first half. Caruso played a scoreless 34 minutes in the game, but contributed 6 rebounds and 5 assists. During the first timeout, Staples Center played a video tribute for Caruso, who won a championship with the Lakers in the NBA bubble in 2020. Talen Horton-Tucker was the Lakers' leading scorer with 28 points, his season high, while Anthony Davis scored 20 points before getting ejected late in the third quarter. The Lakers struggled without LeBron James, who is still out from an abdominal strain. The Bulls dominated from the opening tip, stretching their lead to as high as 25 points in the third quarter, never letting the Lakers take the lead the entire game. Even with a last-effort run to cut the lead down to 15 points, the Lakers could not stop the Bulls' lineup. The Bulls advanced their season record to 10-4 and continue their West Coast road trip, facing the Portland Trail Blazers on Wednesday. Reporting from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, I'm Jana with Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks so much, Jana. So next, EJ has some NBA news for us concerning the Staples Center, a.k.a. the place that Kobe Bryant built. EJ, what's the news?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So it looks like the Los Angeles Clippers has lost their chance officially to ever put up a banner in the Staples Center. The famous Staples Center will be receiving a new name, the Crypto.com Arena. According to multiple reports, Crypto.com is spending $700 million for the name change. Now, this is the first time the historic building will be called other than the Staples Center since its opening 22 years ago in October of 1999. The name change will be made official on December 25th when the Lakers face the Brooklyn Nets in Los Angeles. Back to you, Mike.
Wow. That is some big news. Thanks, EJ. Appreciate it. Next, Ben has some news for us from the homeland. Ben, what do you have for us?
The Philippine Sports Commission, or PSC, has cleared the national athletes to train again in any of its facilities beginning next year. In a statement on Tuesday, the PSC said it will be reopening its facilities for the national athletes for training not earlier than January 10, 2022, after the board approved the resolution. This resumption is dependent on the provision of many considerations of course safety before final implementation, according to PSC. The PSC is currently operating the Rizal Memorial Sports Complex in Manila, the Field Sports Complex in Pasig, and the Baguio Training Camp. Ongoing coordination with the MPA-IATF, a multipurpose arena interagency task force in Field Sports Pasig and Baguio City, local government unit is being done to ensure that all safety measures are taken for the protection of our national team members. As the PSC prepares for its facility reopening, renovation in athletes' dormitories are ongoing after its engineering team discovered damages due to stormy weather. Amid the coronavirus disease in 2019 pandemic, the PSC has also set up some health and safety protocols for the resumption of training in its facilities. The board has also provisionally approved the health safety guidelines developed by the PSI MSA, Philippine Sports Institute, Medical, Scientific, and Athletic Services to be implemented in all training areas with the addition of an improvement on certain provision. It added that the guidelines are based on PSC Games and Amusement Board, Department of Health, Joint Administrative Order number 2020-0001. It has also called on the National Sports Association to submit their own COVID-19 protocols to further bolster the safety of the athletes amid the pandemic. The development is good news for our national athletes ahead of a busy calendar next year, which includes the Southeast Asian Games in Hanoi and Asian Games in Hangzhou. That's it for me, Mike.
Appreciate it, Ben. Lastly, Ken has some other NBA news for us concerning Golden State Warriors All-Star guard KLAY Thompson. What do you have for us, Ken?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, the return of the number 77th best player of all time, KLAY Thompson, is upon us. But we don't know. We'll see. The five-time All-Star recently was cleared for 5-on-5 work. And head coach Steve Kerr said Thompson has looked good running fives. Warriors president of basketball operations, Bob Myers, offered an update on KLAY on a local radio station yesterday. Quote, he said, "It's the last step. There will be days where he does a couple in a row, sometimes off, sometimes one off, one on. Probably go to Santa Cruz and get some work there. The hard part is finding guys on our team to do it because you're not going to drag Steph and Draymond out there to scrimmage," end quote. So Myers did admit that it could be valuable to give Thompson some reps with Curry and Green as his return gets closer, since they haven't shared the court together since the 2019 NBA Finals. While Thompson has reached the final rehab stage, Myers still doesn't have an expected or approximate return date for Thompson. Just noting the Warriors want the star guy to make his return at Chase Center. I think it's one of those times where it's best to just ease him in, right? And make sure that he's fully prepared. But the big question is, who will have to take a back seat when KLAY does return? Jordan Poole, Andre Iguodala, Gary Payton II? Well, we'll find out shortly. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it, man. So that's it for this week's sports news. So after the break, we're going to dive right into our topics, starting with the struggling Los Angeles Lakers. We'll be right back.
Anak! Tulong! Anak! Anak! Tulong sa atin! Ay, bakit?
Ma'am, yung pumasok ng pandemya talaga sobrang dagok. Talaga grabe yung ginawa sa amin. Tapos sasabihan pa ng sakit ng asawa ko. Ultimo gamot, ma'am. Magkano lang ang gamot? 2, 3. Hindi ko pa mabili. Oh, siguro, pagsubok lang naman to. Hindi naman siguro ibibigay sa akin to kung hindi ko kaya.
Hindi nagsasalita. Naninikip yung dibdib niya. Tapos, pumunta ka na ngayon dito, kuya.
Ano naman? Puro kabiro.
And presence of uniformed personnel to enforce quarantine procedures.
Para kang superhero, Papa.
Isipin may makakain ka lang. Diba? Sabi nila na lalabas ka Hindi ka ba niyawa sa anak mo paglabas mo? Hindi mo alam po nakakuha na ng sakit. Di ba ganun? Ako inisip po. Kasi naman, hindi ako lumabas. Gutom naman kami.
Para sa isang tatay, napakasarap maramdaman na buong-buo ang tiwala ng iyong pamilya. Na sama-sama niyong malalagpasan at mapagtatagumpayan ang anumang hamon ng buhay. Kahit na mabigat na pagsubok ang pinagdadaanan natin, bagong pag-asa at bagong inspirasyon ang ihahatid namin sa inyo.
Pinapangarap niya na mapagamot siya, ma'am. Ito na yung katuparan na para mapagamot siya. Ito na yung katuparan na para mapagamot yung misis ko, Sir Eduardo B. Manalo. Maraming salamat po sa naitulong nyo na ibinigay po sa aking pamilya.
Kaya kung kayo ay may kakilala, kaibigan o kamag-anak na nais nyong lingapin ang aming programa, ipadala nyo sa amin ang kanyang kwento. Ako po si Apple David at ito ang Lingap Stories.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson. So we're going to take a quick look at the current NBA standings. The red-hot Golden State Warriors lead all of the NBA at 14-2. We have the Suns right behind them at 11-3, and as well as the Jazz at 10-5. That rounds up the top three in the West. And then in the Eastern Conference, we have the Miami Heat at 11-5, tied with the Brooklyn Nets, but they are ahead of the Nets because they beat them earlier in the season. And we have the surprising Chicago Bulls and EJ's Washington Wizards at 10-5, leading the East Conference. So you can take a look there at the standings. So with that being said, the Los Angeles Lakers are mightily struggling. They did lose tonight to the Boston Celtics. It was quite a blowout, and they are now standing at 8-9. NBA star and legend LeBron James did return and played pretty well tonight. And though they've had 12 of their first 16 games at home, they have struggled to get on the same page. Ken, I know you are the biggest Laker lover on the show. What is going on with your boys?
Well, what's not going on with my boys? I mean, these are my boys. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, like it's honestly just it makes me sick watching these games because this is not the team identity that this specific. I mean, then again, only 3 players have returned, right? I mean, I guess we're going to start with that, right? There's only 3 players returning from last year. That's THT, who is in his 4th or 5th game back, and Anthony Davis, LeBron James. And the championship team that was put together in the 2020 year, that was all that was all for LeBron to have 3-point shooters and defensive guys that were all perimeter, right? And so that formula worked. Unfortunately, what happened here is that I'm guessing we still don't know who said that Westbrook was a great idea and getting rid of KCP. THT over CARUSO was also like crazy, and the fact that they could have gotten DeRozan, if they were willing to pay. I think the fact that they have 3 ball-heavy guards, not guards, ball handlers, and 2 of them can't shoot threes. Well, I mean, Rondo's kind of, but you wouldn't consider him a 3-point shooter. And especially Westbrook. It's just, Westbrook just does not look like Westbrook whenever LeBron is on the court. Let's just say that. And this, with LeBron's first game back, it's one of those things where, I know he's just like easing into it, but it just doesn't look right. And what happens, especially with such an old roster, is that, each of these old guys is going to have one good game and then like 4 or 5 games where they need to recover and they stink. right? But I think above all of this, their defense is some of the most atrocious defense that I've seen in a long time, and this is a team that's supposedly led by a defensive-minded coach, and it's just very disappointing to see literally anyone drive to the basket and have like a wide open layup. It's just absolute. I mean, like tonight, the starting centers or the two big guys on the Celtics were Al Horford and Williams, and they out rebounded the tall Lakers that had Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard. It's just that's effort. It really is effort. You know, like it's one of those things where I just feel that they are extremely. I don't know if they're just phoning all these in, but I think a big sign of where they are not on the same page are those two OKC losses. I just got to put that out there. Those two OKC losses, like really just like ruined my season. I don't know if they can come back from this, but it's still early. We'll leave it at that. It's still early.
Dude, it seems like you guys. It seems like you played OKC. It seems like you play OKC and the Rockets like every week, man.
It's crazy. Like they were given the easiest schedule. Like seriously, like they were home games against really bad teams. They had the Rockets literally 2 days in a row. Like or 2 games in a row at home. You know, like they look horrible. It's I don't know, man. I'm really like just looking the eye test. They're failing it hard.
Oh yeah,
that's what gets me. It's one thing when you see a team and they're just like, all right, they lost, but they look great, and which means that they can win other games. But this team just looks all over the place. It's just
Ken is riling here, guys. We have to
I am. I'm done. I'm done.
EJ. Besides LeBron's back, obviously.
Yeah.
Which other player needs to step up their game to basically get the Lakers back to the winning ways?
I mean, the obvious choice is Russell Westbrook. The guy's averaging 5 turnovers a game. I mean, I think he had a game, right, where he had a quadruple double where he had over 10 turnovers. It's bad, man. And I think it is hard. Like Ken mentioned, it's hard to find their roles when everybody's healthy. Again, these guys are offensive players. That's what they're known for. And maybe that's why they're so atrocious, right? I mean, the guys that they did get, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, even when you go down the line to like Kent Bazemore, even Rajon Rondo, they're not known as defenders. They're known for their offensive prowess, right? So like they're struggling. But to answer your question, who needs to step up? It's the others. It's not the stars. Carmelo Anthony has been playing great. I think he's been in talks of a potential 6th man of the year, from someone who starts his whole career. Now he's, absorbed that role to the bench, but he's been a bright spot for the Los Angeles Lakers. It's the others who need to step up. Avery Bradley, the guy gets 22 minutes a game, averages 5 points and 2 assists or 2 rebounds. And then Kent Bazemore also gets 22 minutes a game, averages 4 points and 2 assists. I mean, what are they doing for 20 minutes on the floor where they're not affecting the game in any way? It's the others who have to step up. We know LeBron, we know Anthony Davis, and we know Russell Westbrook is going to put up big numbers at times. But who surprised me is Taylor Horton-Tucker since his return. The guy, 17 points in his first game back. Then he puts up 28 points, and then he goes and follows that up, 25 points and 12 rebounds. But these were in losing efforts, aside from the first game back when they beat San Antonio. So, I mean, it's the others who have to step up again. And they need to find good chemistry for their starters. I guess that's the other thing that needs to happen.
Absolutely. So speaking of chemistry, Ben, when it comes to the Lakers, do you think they need to make any big moves before the trade deadline? I mean, maybe move Westbrook or maybe get some other shooters on the squad. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Mike, the Los Angeles Lakers have been far less predictable this season, but thankfully James is back. I think that might change, but they just lost again. But with the roster that they have right now, a combination of aging superstar veterans and unknown, untested young players is not cutting it for them. If LeBron wants to win another championship with the Lakers before he retires, he simply need more help. Now the Lakers need more offensive punch and defense. They badly need another on-ball creator. They need to trade Westbrook. This dude is not helping the team. Nobody can win a title with a point guard that turns the ball over that much. I really hate this kind of player. He's not really helping the Lakers. The Lakers have been outscored in paint in every loss this season due to their lack of quickness on defense. Speaking of lack of quickness on defense, Melo, AD, they're great offense, but they're slow on defense, and they need to hustle back on defense. And another player is Howard, an all-timer, all-star who is too slow on defense. I think AD is not old, but he's so slow on defense, and we can see that in their loss in BUCS. If James really want to have another championship, AD needs to step up and carry the team. James cannot carry the whole team at his age, almost 37 years old. A one-man army cannot do that at this stage of his career. I think someone has to step up, AD, if he really wants to prove himself, and also some other players, and probably trade off Westbrook and get another point guard who would really help them create plays for them.
Absolutely. I think it's safe to say that people are starting to kick themselves that they did not pick up Buddy Yield when they had the chance. But sticking with our Lakers theme in the next topic, we all do know that LeBron James did make a comeback tonight, played pretty well. They did lose. But EJ, do you think that this comeback is going to inspire some type of winning streak for the Lakers?
I definitely think so. I mean, we all know that LeBron James is the engine that gets this team going, right? I mean, they don't have successful seasons without LeBron James. Any team that had LeBron James on their team would not have been successful if he weren't there. So obviously, this is a great step for them to get back on the right direction. Will it make them contenders? It's not up to LeBron James anymore. Look how well the Warriors are playing. Look how well even the Phoenix Suns, they've picked up where they were last year. They started off really bad, I think 0-3, but now they won 11 straight. The success isn't going to be predicated just on James being on the floor, but if they're able to contend with the Warriors and the Suns, because these are the guys that they're chasing now. They were the favorites coming from the offseason. And LeBron's is going to make their chances, higher for win and success rate. But it looks like the Warriors and even the Phoenix Suns are looking a lot better and a lot more in sync than the Los Angeles Lakers.
They are, man. It is scary just to see how good of a shooting team the Warriors and the Suns are. It's incredible. Ben, with the Lakers at full strength, in addition to the Suns and the Warriors, who do you think is the biggest threat to them in the Western Conference right now?
First of all, before I answer that, I really need to see some change with the Lakers. And to be honest, I don't see the Lakers being a contender this season. Too bad for the Laker fans. For me, LeBron can still play. He's a great player. But I don't think the Lakers will be a contention this season. So I think I'll give it to all the Suns, the other teams, the BUCS, the Warriors, the Bulls. I think they're the ones who are best to be in the top 4 at the end of the season.
Understood. And Ken, a lot of people are saying that, LeBron is on his last legs. I mean, obviously he's still one of the top 3 players in the world, at least. Do you think winning championships are well behind him? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, no, because he is still the GM, right? I mean, he can literally control who goes to whatever team he's on. And so, I mean, yeah, he's lost 1, 2, maybe 3 steps in his athleticism, but at the same time too, he's still top 5 best players in the NBA when he's on the court. I mean, like you can't close. I mean, you would still, if Space Jam were real, he would still be at least like maybe your number one pick on who would be the guy to save the planet. And it's just, I think he literally has maybe 3-4 years, maybe 3 years of still like top level play, and then maybe still 4, 5, 6 years of being in the NBA as like a secondary, third, fourth option player. And with being maybe even later in his career, he might even have more opportunities because he'll be with like really good young talent, or whoever he chooses, or his son, right? I mean, I think the door is wide open for him to win a championship with a squad that can carry him, because he's still he has and will continue to carry the team on his big broad shoulders for the immediate future.
Well said. Well said. So, gentlemen, I need to get your predictions before we go to break. Where do you think the Lakers end up at the end of the season? EJ, we'll start with you.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're back in the play-in tournament, man. At this rate, I mean, the West is just loaded. But yeah, I mean, it's very possible that they're going to be in the 10, 9, 7, or 8. I mean, 10, 9, 8, or 7.
Okay, how about you, Ken?
Yeah, I think they're gonna make it up to 6. I think that's LeBron is gonna push for that. I think and the rest of the team's gonna answer. I think eventually they'll find a groove where they can win. At least they can at least win like winnable games and just do enough to get them out of the play-in.
Okay, all right. And Ben, how about you?
I would say on the 10th or 9th, 10th spot, unless they remove Westbrook, they probably go up in 6th and 5th.
Yeah, I think injuries is the biggest thing. I mean, let's be real. I think LeBron's probably going to miss some other games with those little knickknacks. Same for AD. So for me, I have them. Yeah, like kind of that 5th, 6th seed.
Well, it could be anyone else too. Like the other teams, like Dallas, like Luka keeps getting hurt too, right? So or Porzingis, and like with those guys getting hurt, and Chris Paul and the Suns. So I think that also determines where they go up or down from.
Absolutely. Totally. Thanks for your takes, everybody. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk NFL next, EBC Sports International. We'll return in a moment.
Ang isa sa mga lalawigan dito sa ating bansa at ating alamin ang kanilang malalim na kasaysayan, saganang likas na yaman at napakakulay na kultura, ang Quezon Province. Dito lang yan sa Tara, Ating Pasyalan. Let's go!
Simula ngayong November 20, may malalapitan ka na. Sisimulan ng Rumesponde ng bagong aksiman ng bayan. Alex Santos sa Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan, ngayong Sabado na. Simulcast sa Net25, Facebook at YouTube.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to EBC Sports International. It is NFL Week 11, and we have some huge matchups coming on. The most anticipated one is the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Dallas Cowboys, pitting quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott, while the GOAT TB12 hosts the New York Giants in Monday Night Football. Ben, I need to get your thoughts. Let's focus first on the Cowboys and Chiefs matchup. Who has the upper hand in this one?
This is a good TV matchup. The Chiefs should be probably the favorites for this match. But more than a touchdown feels like too much. But both teams are coming off comprehensive victories and will be riding high. This game has the feel of an offensive shootout. The winner being whoever has the ball last. Scoring 40 points might not be enough for the team to win. And this is the most important game for the Chiefs to this point. We've seen them had a slow start and had consecutive wins. And finally, they dig themselves out of a hole to be a 6-4 in the standing. And you can mess this up, drop another game on the schedule after finally getting on the groove. You're getting your swag back. I think, and many say that it's like the Chiefs are looking at the Super Bowl team that they had before. I think the Chiefs know this, and they know that the type of opponent the Cowboys are, and we've seen the Cowboys also are on the top of the standing as well. And it's going to be a good matchup for both teams. But I think I will go with the Chiefs to win this game. It's a close one because of their improved defensive efforts. Plus, also we can see Mahomes is getting his groove back. So I think this is going to be a deadly matchup for the Cowboys.
Absolutely. I did just get word that starting wide receiver Amari Cooper of Dallas will not be playing. He tested positive for COVID. So that is a huge loss to the Cowboys. Ken, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, he did have a huge game against the Raiders last Sunday night, throwing over 400 yards, throwing 5 touchdowns. Do you think he continues that hot streak on Sunday?
Well, the difficult thing with Patrick is that, and that's why he's averaging a 96.7 passer rating for the season, even though last week I think it was a 127.6 passer rating, right? So, he's doing a lot better now. But I think what has happened specifically this season is that defenses and, opposing teams have kind of figured him out. Yeah, he got the 406 yards and 5 touchdowns, but I don't know how many times the Raider defenders touched the ball. They're a lot, I don't know, at least 4, 5, 6 of those of his passes could have been interceptions. And I think the defenses are figuring him out, figuring out his tendencies, and it has affected him in a couple of games where he just did not look like the Patrick Mahomes we know and love. But there's a positive. He's only 26, right? And he's already a Super Bowl champion. And I think he's gonna find out the hard way, right? And he is finding out the hard way that opposing teams will figure you out. But at the same time too, he has all this time, and I think he has the football IQ to be able to evolve himself also and figure out new ways to scheme and to be successful. I think at the end of the day, what is the only thing that's stopping him is the stuff in between his ears. It's all mental, but I think if anyone can do it, it's him. He's one of the most confident quarterbacks out there, and that's why he's so good.
Definitely. So EJ, going on the other side of the coin, the Cowboys. So they've been proving a lot of doubters wrong almost the entire season. They're one of the top 5 teams in the league. What do they have to do to get the W on Sunday?
Man, I don't want to think about Dallas getting wins, man. I hate Dallas. Obviously, the arch rivals of my Washington football team. But hey, man, they've been playing really good football all season long. For them to be able to take a win against the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend, the focus has got to be on the defensive side of the ball. There's that guy, Trayvon Diggs. He got to be able to have one of his signature interception games, and against Patrick Mahomes this season, where he's averaging the most interceptions in his career. And he's known, again, to be taking those risky passes because, he's not afraid. Whatever happens, happens. A lot of times defenders get a hand on that ball, and sometimes it's caught. This season in particular, a lot of times it's been caught after deflections. And drops from the receivers. So I think the ball's not really bouncing the way, Patrick Mahomes would want it to this season. But it's going to be a lot harder this weekend with Trayvon Diggs on the other side of the ball. He has to be a lot more careful in his decision making, and I think if Dallas is able to exploit the offense and rattle Patrick Mahomes, then they have total control. They've had total control of this entire season. Aside from that loss to the Broncos, week 1 when they faced the Buccaneers, that was a winnable game for them. So they could easily be 8-1 right now in the season. They're 7-2, which is not bad at all. And again, they're in the NFC East, man. So for them to rack up more W's is not really necessary when you have the Eagles and my Washington football team and the Giants trailing after you. So, Dallas is in good hands, win or loss this weekend. But in order for them to beat Patrick Mahomes, they definitely got to rattle him on the defensive side. And Trayvon Diggs is a scary guy to be throwing the ball to your receivers if he's on coverage.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who Trayvon Diggs is going to guard. If they're going to put on a Tyreek, is he going to put on a Kelsey? I'm pretty interested to see what their game plan is going to be. But Ben already gave me his prediction. He thinks the Chiefs are going to win. Ken, who wins this matchup?
Well, I think it's going to be a shootout, but at the same time, too, it's a toss-up as far as which one is the better offense right now as a whole. I know you mentioned things out. Cooper's out for Sunday, but I think as far as who's what's going to determine the win, it's whose defense is better, and the Chiefs have some of the worst defense in the league. So I think that will allow the Cowboys to prevail. Sorry, EJ.
Yeah, I know.
How about them Cowboys?
I know, and I'm actually going to choose Dallas to win this game as well, especially as Kansas City back on top of the AFC West. They need to be able to take control of this game and give them confidence going into the offseason, because Kansas City obviously is a Super Bowl contender. So if you get that win, it's good morale for your team if you're Dallas.
Definitely. I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I'm going to go with Dallas as well. I think their defense is just a little bit better. And I think that, Amari Cooper's out, but you still have CeeDee Lamb. You have Schultz, the tight end, who's been putting up pretty good numbers, and Michael Gallup, because he has a pretty cool first name. So we'll see how the game turns out. So we're going to go to our next game. Monday Night Football, Tom Brady and company take on the New York Giants. The BUCS are coming off 2 straight losses, and the Giants are coming off their bye week. Ken, I know you are the biggest Tom Brady fan here. I need to know what do the BUCS get back to their winning ways Monday night?
That's tough, man. Tom Brady looked really bad against Washington last week. 220, 2-2, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and it's just tough. But at the same time, too, it's the Giants, right? So if there's a team that he can win against, it's the 3-6 Giants. However, this might be a trap game because Saquon Barkley might be returning. That's the rumor. He's had some ankle problems, obviously the ACL injury that he's still recovering from. And then I think he missed the last few games based on COVID protocol. So he's just had a really tough outing, but supposedly he's going to be back. And if he's back, that's a big bad weapon going against these BUCS. So I still think this should be an easy win for Tampa Bay and for Tom Brady. But at the same time too, they literally just lost against the Washington football team without
my team
player.
Yeah.
Now
dude, I was so shocked. It was just like they could not move the ball at all. It was like, dude, you guys can move the ball against the best of them, and then Washington comes in and he just totally totally shut them down.
It's so weird. I mean, on paper, I mean, the Washington football team should have lost that game, especially with how they've been just carved up defensively all season. But I don't know.
Chase and these.
Maybe Chase's injury like rallied this team. That might have been it, but I don't know. Hopefully it lasts for the entire season. But if there's anything constant about this football team, the Washington football team, it's that it is inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, but if we look back to last season, I mean, both teams. I mean, Taylor Heineke played really good against the BUCS in the playoffs, first round. And then the Giants last year, I think it was a Monday Night Football game as well, but in New York, I mean, they took down the BUCS to the wire too. So it's something about the NFC East. They just play super.
They just hate Tom Brady.
Yes,
Brady just struggles against NFC.
Tom Brady's,
I mean, it could be one of those things too, where it's like, you know, the BUCS are they're just waiting to turn on the switch to start playing hard again because they're kind of lacking.
I mean, they can't. They have that ability to, right? I mean, these are returning champs, and so and you have literally the GOAT on your team. So, I mean, if there's anyone that can turn it on and has proven people wrong about his age for literally 10 years now, it's Tom Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. So, EJ, talking about the same game, the BUCS defense has just struggled like crazy, especially their secondary. Injuries being one of the top reasons why they're struggling. Do you think it's because of the injuries, or do you think it's more like a lack of passion or a lack of just being engaged during this part of the season?
I really don't know what the BUCS problem is, man. It's like, after, you lose that game going into the bye week, then you have the whole bye week to recuperate, to make a game plan, and you face my Washington football team, and to play like that is just really bad. So it's like, I don't know what the BUCS have to do, but like you guys mentioned, man, who did Tom Brady lose to in the Super Bowl to twice? It was the New York Giants. And, granted, Eli Manning is no longer there, obviously, right? But I mean, do you really think Eli Manning is the kryptonite to Tom Brady? I mean, I don't think so. But he did steal 2 Super Bowls from him, and seeing those blue jerseys across from him might give Tom Brady some anxiety. I mean, I'm pretty sure it does affect him in some way. And if I think Ken mentioned Saquon Barkley might be coming back this week. And with that defense struggling the way that it has, that's what Washington did last week, was run that ball very effectively against that defense. So, I mean, it's not going to be an easy win. And I don't think we can consider any win to be easy for the BUCS for the foreseeable future after the way that they lost 2 in a row.
Definitely. And Ben, going to the other team, the Giants, what do they have to do to slow down the BUCS? I mean, the BUCS are definitely known for their offensive firepower. So what do the Giants have to do defensively to stop them?
First of all, the Giants will be facing a fired up BUCS team who just got from 2 consecutive losses. And I'm sorry to have mentioned that my BUCS lost, but I think the Giants defense needs to be more disruptive to Brady. And I think that's going to be the key for them if they want to win against them. And this game is going to be a close game as well. It's also going to be unreasonable for the Giants to pull out a win. And they played 2 offenses comparable to Tampa Bay so far and allowed at least 38 points both times. And they simply not the kind of team that can go on the road to beat the team Tom Brady. And it's going to be a difficult task for the Giants to beat the BUCS at the home game. And with all the weapons that they have, the Giants is going to have a difficult task of beating the BUCS at their turf. And the Giants are probably going to lose. But they're going to be looking good of doing it. You may lose to the BUCS, but you're going to give them a great game.
Definitely. Well, we will see what happens on Monday night. The BUCS against the Giants. We'll keep you guys posted on the results on that. But appreciate your guys' takes. When we come back, we'll be talking more NFL. We'll be right back.
Welcome sa pinakabagong game show ng Net25. Maraming salamat po sa napakainit na pagtanggap niyo sa akin para maging bahagi ng saya at panalo agad-agad.
It's been a while and you deserve it. That dimples should be seen everywhere.
Kaya simulan na natin ang pamimigay ng agad-agad na kasiyahan at cash siyahan dito sa newest game show na diskarte at bilis ng kamay ang puhunan. 3 rounds ang paglalabanan ng 4 na players. Isa sa kanila ang magwawagi ng 20,000 pesos na posibleng umabot ng hanggang 100,000 pesos!
Sigurado ako maiuwi ko ang premyo na 20,000. Sigurado ako.
Yan!
Nasa akin eh.
Bakit dapat sa yan?
Nakita ko dun eh. Kala ko, tara, game! Agad-agad! Kinuha ko.
Ito na ang pangalawang agawan choices. 17,100. Oh. 12,000. C. 400,000. D. 1.7 million. Agad-agad. Pinindot siya ni Wes, so ikaw ang sasagot na to. Natakot ka sa numbers?
Pag numbers kasi kainis eh. Pero pag talent fee numbers, masaya yun.
Alex, sino ang pinipili mong sasagot ng tanong na yan?
Wilma.
Ang bilis.
Alam mo bakit?
Bakit?
Wilma doesn't know.
And I'm your Tara Game Master, Aga Mulak. And this is Tara Game!
Agad-agad!
Hey everybody, welcome back to EBC Sports International. So we're going to take a quick look at the NFL standings right now. As you can see here, breaking down by conference, the AFC East, the Bills lead there with the Patriots right behind them. AFC West, as we talked about earlier, the Chiefs are starting to make their way there. The Baltimore Ravens are still leading the AFC North division, and the Titans leading the way the entire AFC at 8-2. Going to the NFC, the National Football Conference, we had the Cowboys at 7-2, right above the NFC East. The NFC West, led by the Arizona Cardinals at 8-2. The NFC North, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers leading at 8-2. And then the Buccaneers, who we just spoke about, are leading the NFC South at 6-3 with the Saints right up behind them at 5-4. So, this show tonight, Ken is just going to hate this. I mean, we were talking about the struggles of the Lakers and LeBron just not coexisting with everybody. And now we're going to his Los Angeles Rams because they lost the last 2 games and they just got the doors blown off of them against the Tennessee Titans and the San Francisco 49ers. Even after adding Pro Bowlers, Von Miller and Odell Beckham, they've just made some costly turnovers and it just have not performed up to par these past 2 games. Ken, what is going on with the Rams?
Man, you tell me, man. It's just absolutely disgusting.
And they play good against us, but
I mean, that's a Rams Seahawks thing. But at the same time, too, recently, I think the last 2 years, the Niners, who are pretty bad, especially at home.
Well, they won
recently. They haven't I don't think they won all season at home. And what's it called? They beat the Rams for the 5th straight time, matching up. And it's just they go from mediocre to superhero strength when they face the Rams. I don't know if they have something against blue jerseys. But it's just really strange how they just really turn it up and turn into almost a different team going against my Rams. But back on the Rams, it's really weird watching this team, especially in the first quarter, right? Their last 2 losses, Stafford throws 2 picks, you know, and then like these lead to like scores and in each of these games. But the weird thing that happened this last game was that against the Niners was that it wasn't even just Stafford like being off. It's like maybe like there were like 6, 7, 8 drops from different receivers. Like they were like the passes were right on the money, and they just like drop them. And I'm just like, what's happening here? And these Rams have really good hands. I mean, it's just mind-boggling how amateur this team looked this last game and these last couple games. And you know, you got to give it some time for any new defense. I mean, like Von Miller is a complete game changer on defense, right? And so, you know, I understand that it'll take time, but I have to point the finger at this defensive coordinator. It's just like, what are you doing? I mean, Ramsey should be covering their best, you know, their you know, wide receiver 1, but I mean, I don't know what they're doing, this like flex zone thing that is just not working. They're getting killed on the run, and I'm just really disappointed in like what's hard with having such a strong coach in Sean McVay is that everyone poaches the assistant coaches, and that's what's been happening, right? I mean, like they're looking for that next Sean McVay, and it's just tough. And you know, I think it's not the end of the road. I think, you know, having this bye week is great for Odell and for Stafford. And I think they're gonna be pumped up and ready to go against the Packers next Sunday.
It's just gonna be snowing up in Lambeau, so we'll see how that goes.
Stafford knows the Detroit cold, so I think he'll be all right.
True. That's a good point. EJ, so what do the Rams have to do to get back on track?
I don't think it's they need to push the panic button, man. They're 7-3. Obviously, the 8-2 Cardinals are in your division, so you know every loss does count, especially while Arizona has been hot all season. But I don't think they need to push the panic button. Again, they did receive new pieces, so it's going to take a little time to get those guys integrated. But it could be the Odell Beckham curse of why they didn't win this last game. But no need to panic, man. They're fine. They just gotta. Their biggest test against the Packers is going to prove their true colors, though. So they need to focus up on that game.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens. I think that's going to be definitely a good measuring stick where they're at. Yep. Playing on the road at Lambeau, especially during this time of year. Ben, do you think the Rams are still Super Bowl contenders? I know you chose the BUCS to win it all earlier before the season started, but do you think the Rams are right up there to have a chance to win the Super Bowl?
Well, I also mentioned it in our previous episodes that the Rams are also the contenders, and they had a great start early on the season. But you know, with their recent loss, has made a lot of doubts for the Rams fans. It's going to be a tough for Coach McVay to really bounce back from that loss, and having the bye this weekend, it's going to be helpful for them to get back on track. And it's going to be a difficult task for them in their next schedule. They're battling Packers, Cardinals, the Vikings, and the Ravens to close out their 2021 season. So it's going to be a tough matchup the next weeks for the Rams. Unless they make some changes and adjustments, they are still going to be a contender as well.
Yep. Well, we'll see. Like what EJ mentioned earlier, still early in the season, still 7 games to go. So we will see what happens. I believe it's going to be a tight race on both conferences. I mean, I feel like a lot of teams are so even and anything can happen. So we'll be sure to keep you posted on that. So we're going to go into our last portion of our show tonight. We can never forget to do our question of the week. And as we heard earlier, as EJ reported, the Staples Center changed their name to the Crypto.com Arena. Disgusting. Well,
Crypto.com.
question of the week is, what is the weirdest arena name you've ever seen? I'll start. Mine is the Smoothie King Arena, where the NBA's New Orleans Pelicans play. So I think that's kind of odd. And how about you, man?
It has to be, Power Balance Pavilion, which was formerly Arco Arena in the Sacramento Kings. I mean, obviously, it's not the name now, but Power Balance is proven to be a scam. Remember the ones where it's a band, and then they push you at the mall, and it's like, and then they push you again when they put it on the band. And then you gain balance.
That was Power Balance. Yeah.
And they named an arena after that. Go Kings.
Bad. Ben, how about you? Weirdest arena name you've ever heard?
I've heard cricket arena somewhere in India. It's named after a person. It's Dr. Y.S. Rajasekara Reddy ACA VDCA Cricket Stadium. So with that kind of name,
that's long.
Why?
It's going to be tiring to mention that name. One of the weirdest and for me the strangest name for a stadium.
That is crazy. And how about you, EJ?
So I actually had to look it up, and this one had to be the standout for me, man. In Livingston, the Livingston Football Club in Scotland, they play at an arena called Tony Macaroni Arena. Bro, that is like the weirdest name. Tony Macaroni, bro. That's weird.
That is. Is that like the Tony Macaroni Grill? Is it like the macaroni?
Dude, no. I think it's like, it sounds like a fictional character, bro. Like, but I have no. You got to look it up. I think it's a pretty dark story about who Tony Macaroni is. So look it up, man.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, hey guys, I appreciate you joining me on the panel tonight, and thank you everybody for watching our show. On behalf of everyone here, thank you so much for joining us, and tune in again next week. Make sure to visit us on our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com, as well as net25.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Eagle News PH to join the conversation. For Eagle News, I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.
Napapansin ba ninyo lumiliwanag ang mundo?